The televised caning of Cathy in Grange Hill appears reasonably authentic in its depiction. Mrs. McCluskey seemed to feel compelled to administer the punishment, although it is doubtful that she expected Cathy's mother to approve of the matter. Clearly, corporal punishment was not unknown within the school environment. The cane itself appeared well used, and had perhaps been employed on many pupils over the years. Cathy, for her part, seemed to understand what was expected of her. However, the detail of receiving 2 strokes on what was presumably her non-writing hand appears somewhat unusual, as hand canings commonly involved 1 stroke on each hand. Since Grange Hill was set in London, it is worth noting that by that period, corporal punishment administered to girls on the buttocks was generally no longer permitted. Naturally, it must also be remembered that this was a fictional television drama produced in the late 1970s. I agree that Cathy's composure before the punishment suggested that such disciplinary measures were not entirely unfamiliar within the world portrayed by Grange Hill, and that she believed she understood the procedure. Nevertheless, I seem to recall that she initially held out her hand incorrectly, and that Mrs. McCluskey had to reposition it, which gave the impression that she herself had not previously been caned. She also reacted rather strongly afterwards, clutching her hand in evident discomfort. However, no firm conclusions can be drawn from events depicted in Grange Hill. It was, after all, a fictional drama in which the participants were actors performing from a script. One unfortunate consequence of the pervasive influence of television is that many people increasingly struggle to distinguish fiction from reality. The headmistress was Miss Corfield. I received the cane from her, and afterwards I behaved much better. At a parents' evening, my mother instructed the cookery teacher, Mrs. Jones, to administer the cane to me after I had behaved disrespectfully during a lesson. Mrs. Jones had never been especially fond of me, although I must admit that I had behaved foolishly by shouting while she had briefly left the room. Looking back, it all seems rather childish now. My mother also once requested that Mrs. Jones should arrange for me to be caned while I was attending nocturum. The following day I was summoned to Miss Corfield's office, where the punishment was carried out. In truth, it was not especially painful, but the experience ensured that I never again wished to be sent to the headmistress's office. In that respect, it probably did me some good. I later abandoned cookery classes and no longer had Mrs. Jones as a teacher, after which my conduct improved considerably. On another occasion, after I had sworn at Mrs. Jones, my mother again requested that I be caned. The next day, my name was read out during assembly, and I was sent to Miss Corfield. It was the only time I was ever required to attend the headmistress's office for punishment, and afterwards I made certain that my behaviour improved.